Hey everyone. Wanted to touch on something that I've gotten a couple of inbox messages about on Facebook. People asking me what should they do about their high utility bills with the city of Griffin. Now, this is based on other people's experiences because where I live, I've never had a bill that was higher than $200. Mine, on average, fluctuates between 100 and 150. But I'm going to tell you a couple things that I do, as well as a couple things that you can do to try to make sure that you are not utilizing as much power as the city of Griffin is trying to charge you for. Now, I'm going to tell you some things based on my experience and my personal background as well. I used to be the director of operations for Habitat for Humanity, and we built houses. So a lot of the stuff that I'm going to tell you is from the knowledge that I gained in being out on site with the construction staff and team while they were actually building these houses and installing appliances and things like that as well. Now, the first thing you want to make sure of is that your appliances and your light bulbs are actually energy efficient. If you have not had a recent upgrade in appliances, normally you want to make sure your appliances are no older than 5 years old. And if you are in the market for new appliances, you want to make sure that you find appliances that have some type of Energy Star logo, because those are actually the appliances that utilize the least amount of energy when they're in operation. As well, you want to make sure you're not using traditional light bulbs in your overhead lights in your room, any of your fixtures or lamps that you have in the house. You want to make sure that you're using energy efficient lights, and specifically the LED light bulbs are best because they use 80 to 90% less energy than the other bulbs. So you definitely want to make sure that you take heed to that particular information if you don't have appliances that are Energy Star efficient and light bulbs that are energy efficient as well. Something else that may be causing the issue, a lot of the houses can be older. If they're not updated houses, the big issue can be you may need insulation in the house, because I found with a lot of older properties, the insulation is normally the issue, because you can turn on the heat for the winter and turn on the air for the summer, but all that's happening is it's actually just going outside. You're heating up the outside, or you're cooling the outside of the house, because there's no insulation to keep the heat or the cool air in if you're trying to cool the house off. So insulation is definitely a big issue. If you have those old single pane windows, that's an issue. If you have a drafty old attic with no insulation, that's also an issue as well. Now, if you're a property owner, I would advise you actually own your house, I would advise you, if you have the money for it, to actually replace any of the single pane windows that you have with double pane windows, and to make sure that your house is properly insulated. If you're renting and you're having these types of issues, this definitely falls onto the responsibility of the landlord. So if you do find that you have those single pane windows and your house is not properly insulated, you definitely need to contact your landlord and make them responsible for those upgrades to your house. The other thing that may be causing some issues is your hot water heater. If you have not checked, you might want to check to see if the temperature on your hot water heater is too high, and actually try lowering the temperature. And that will actually help save on your energy bill as well. Some of you may be like me, and I like my water like extremely hot for showering as well as for washing my hands. But if you lower the temperature to where it's just, warm enough for you to be, okay and not freezing, that'll also help with your energy bill as well. Now, the other thing is, and I'm guilty of doing this all the time, and I've been working very hard to stop doing it. But what happens is I leave my computer on the charger plugged into the wall all the time, my cell phone on the charger plugged into the wall all the time, my tablet on the charger plugged into the wall all the time. And that is a big issue when it comes to using a lot of energy. We may think that when our devices are turned off, that is not draining energy out of the outlet, but it is. Because of your phone updating, your computer updating, your tablet updating, these things consume energy all the time as long as they're plugged in. So if you can remember to unplug your devices when you're not using them, that would definitely help a lot. The other thing is actually utilizing a power strip to plug into your devices, and then plugging that power strip into the wall, so that you can just flip the power strip off instead of having to do like I sometimes have to do, as far as like moving furniture out of the way to plug into an outlet, which is normally why we leave stuff charged in, because you don't want to have to keep moving furniture to get to those outlets that are hard to reach. But a power strip would help as well, because you're able to flip, the power on and off when you're not charging. So that's definitely important as well. One of the other things you may notice is if you're not running your appliances efficiently, that may also be an issue. If you're putting your dryer on the highest heat setting that you can in order for it to dry, if you have your washer on the if it's not on the normal setting, then it may be working harder. If you're not utilizing your loads smartly, for example, if you're only washing small loads of clothing at a time and drying small loads of clothing at a time, that could be an issue. So make sure you're maximizing your efforts when you're using your appliances, as well as making sure you clean out the lint traps on your appliances, and making sure that you change your AC filter as well, because it can cause it to work a lot harder as well too. Even changing the condenser coils in your refrigerator, and actually if you keep too much food in your freezer, it will cause your refrigerator to work harder as well. And I'm guilty of that too. I have to make sure that I'm not overloading my freezer with food myself. So I can be guilty of that sometimes as well. Also, the other thing is what some people don't realize is that your electricity rates can fluctuate by the hour. There are actually peak times that the utility companies are charging for, and sometimes they charge different rates at those peak times. So just think about if you're doing all of this stuff in the morning, you know, when everybody else is up in the morning, or you're doing all of your activities with your appliances when you get home in the evening, everybody else is doing the same thing. So if you're able to possibly try to do your laundry like later on in the night, you know, towards the time when everybody is, you know, laying down for the night or going to sleep, it will help you stay out of those peak hours as well. If you think about when the cheapest time is for you to actually run those appliances. Now, and I say all of this, you know, to give you some tips. But the other thing that you can also check is if you turn off everything in your house and unplug everything in your house and actually check the meter. And if your meter is still running extremely high, then there's something else that's going on there that needs to be checked out. There's something else that's utilizing a lot of electricity in your house. Now, I say all of that and gave you all these tips to say this. If you still feel like there's some other outside issues, because some of you, and this is not funny, this is actually really sad. Some of you I've seen that have spoken on your electricity bills, and it's gone from upwards of like $400, $500, like ridiculous amounts. Now, if you are one of those people, I would definitely advise you to go to the City of Griffin Utilities office and ask for an assessment. Ask them to do an assessment on your house. If you own your house, you can do that, you know, on your own and just have them come and interact with you. However, if you are renting your property, I would advise you to ask them to come and do an assessment on your house, but also tell the landlord that they need to be there for the assessment, to go with the City of Griffin utility workers for the assessment. Because a lot of you, what you will find if you're renting is that your landlord has not taken responsibility for buying Energy Star appliances, for replacing, you know, those fixtures and stuff with energy efficient light bulbs and things like that, or that had no desire to replace the single pane windows with double pane, or install insulation so to make sure that you're not losing heat and you're not losing energy, which is causing those fixtures and appliances to work overtime. So I would definitely, if you have done all the things that I've suggested and you're just at your wit's end, I would definitely advise you to go to the City of Griffin and request an assessment. Like I said, if you are renting, make sure that your landlord will be there for the assessment as well, because they'll be able to tell you exactly the issues that you're having, if you're having any, as well as for those of you whose water bills are extremely high within those utilities. I would definitely make sure that you're getting checked for any types of leaks as well. If you have any dripping faucets, if you have any toilets that are continuously running, dripping shower heads and things like that, that can definitely cause those water bills to be high as well. So this was just me giving you a little bit of insight on things that you can do to lower your electricity bills, and just to get a peace of mind from having to pay out all of these ridiculous amounts of money for your utility bills. And if you do all of that and issues are still not resolved, if your landlord is unwilling to provide these upgrades, if it's found that's what's causing it, you need to take them to court. If you've done all of these things and you're still having issues, there are other legal avenues that you can go to as well, by contacting the state attorney general's office to make sure that you're not being overcharged for these services unfairly as well. So that's all I have for you right now. If you have any additional questions, please let me know. But yeah, I hope everyone is able to get these issues with their utilities alleviated. And that's pretty much all I have for you today.